Hello everyone and welcome to Plant for Me, Not for Default, Split Edition, where we go through the do's and don'ts of planting the bomb on Split.
There are two main questions you should ask yourself when thinking about where to plant on any bomb site in Valorant. The first question is, does your team have full site control? If the answer is yes, you plant open so that your team has flexibility on where they can play. If the answer is no, you plant as open as possible without revealing yourself to potential attackers so that your team can still play from a good post plant without having to sacrifice your life. Now, the second question you should ask is, what are your teammates thinking of doing? If your teammates are thinking of pushing up into spawn because maybe a defender has a good retake ult, or maybe they're thinking of sitting back, you should change your plant spot accordingly.
So the first scenario we're going to go through is when your team has full site control, not just a main area and screens, but also heaven. So if your team has heaven, you're going to want to plant very open. So this open plant allows for a variety of angles to be used. You can play a good pulse plant from a main. You can play a good pulse plant from heaven. Maybe you want to jiggle the planner. Maybe you can even play on site if you really want to. Now the next scenario we're going to want to go through is when your team does not have full site control. Now maybe you don't have enough resources to clear heaven, and maybe you're in a deficit. Either way, the safe plant is typically right here on behind default blocks. But the problem with this plant is because there's only really two angles to clear, and it's a pretty easy angle to hold. Now what I recommend is, as long as you have this A main area under control, you can plant for that A main area, and not only can you play from there, your teammates can also play from a variety of angles. The next scenario we're going to want to go through is if your teammate has lurked up one of the extremities, either screen or heaven. Now if they're in screens, the obvious plant is right here, so that they can peek out and see the plant pretty easily from screens. Now if they're in heaven, the better one is the same open plant, and your goal would be wherever they are to meet up with your teammate. Now let's move on to the B site. Let's say that your team owns the B site, including B heaven. You're going to want to plant on the edge of the site so that your team can play from practically anywhere. You can play from this pocket. You can even push spawn and still be able to see Spike pretty clearly. You can even go up heaven and be able to see it. And you can go into main and play a nice post play from here. Now, the next scenario is going to be when your team does not have full site control. So you cannot plant from over here because your heaven is exposed. Your team cannot afford to hold all the angles. You're just going to plant simply behind the default box, and you have to play on site with this. You cannot push spawn, you cannot push heaven. Now, the next scenario for B site is if your teammate has lurked up. Maybe they've lurked up spawn, or they're up heaven. So in the first scenario where they've lurked up spawn, you're going to want to plant somewhere that is pretty visible to spawn. So maybe in this corner. You can even plant in that corner so that you're not exposed to heaven. And if you're feeling very risky and you're sure that the enemy team's not going to walk out, you can plant on the edge here so that he can actually go deep in spawn and still be able to see the bomb. Now in the second scenario, if he's up heaven, you can just do the open heaven plant and make sure that maybe throw a smoke down for yourself. Make sure that they cannot walk out of spawn.
In the end, knowing where to plant can be an extremely valuable skill when trying to rank up in Valorant. Whether your teammates are pushing into spawn, they're playing molly lineups off-site, or they're playing on-site together, the plant spot can make a huge difference. Knowing where to plant even in disadvantaged scenarios can help increase your chances of winning the round exponentially. Thanks for watching, everyone, and if you found this video useful, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more Valorant tips.